Hello fellow tubers, my name is Megan and I would like to give you a very warm and very heartfelt welcome for joining me on my very first ever YouTube video, my very first ever YouTube channel, Recovery Crafting. Today I just really wanted to give you, as my first video, a little introduction into who I am and to what the idea of the channel is, and kind of a concept of where I see this going. I have an idea in my head, but as all good ideas do, I know it's going to develop and possibly turn into something completely different than what I've started out with. But we're gonna see. So again, I'm Megan, and thank you so much for being here. So I'm going to start off with the nitty-gritty and get that out of the way. To tell you a little bit about myself and my history. I suffered with alcoholism, severe alcoholism, for about 12 years of my life. Was in and out of detox. Well, I can't say that. I went to detox twice. And tried meetings and all sorts of things, and it took 12 years basically for me to lose everything and have to move and leave everything behind. And I had secluded myself and all the things that alcoholics will tell you that they do. I've done it. Although I can say I was not a driver, so I didn't have to worry about any of those stories. But it was a very, very hard road. And I am glad to say that now, as of the recording of this, I am just over 2.5 years clean and sober after a 12-year battle with addiction with alcoholism. That is something that I will fight for the rest of my life. And that's part of why I'm here. This has been a very new experience for me. This is the longest that I've been sober and clean since I was 16 years old. And that's kind of crazy to think about, that for almost more than half my life, I now have more sobriety than I did since I was half my age. So the reason for this channel is because one of the ways that has helped me stay sober is crafting, honestly. One of the things that they told me when I was in recovery was find a hobby, find something that you love, find something to keep your hands busy. And I'd always been a really crafty person. I did go to school for theater, and it has been over 10 years since I've been on a stage, but I've always been very interested in trying new crafts and picking new things up. And I mean, my house is pretty much nothing but a collection of craft items. And so it was really easy for me when I first got sober to pick up a craft, something to keep my hands busy, something to fall back on when I was feeling anxious or nervous, or if I was having a bad day. There was always something for me to come home to and distract myself with. And sometimes that's exactly what it needs to be, is a distraction. And I found that it helped me a lot. And I know a lot of other people who have incorporated this kind of action, this craftiness into their recovery program. And I think it's awesome. And I thought, what a cool way to get the idea out there than to share my own experience. And give you little tidbits of what I'd been through here and there, and then show you my journey too, and let you guys come along with me on my journey from with my sobriety and my new life. I consider myself 2.5 years old. And that's a very cool thing. And so sometimes I like to play around like I am a 2.5-year-old. To get this out of the way, also, this channel is certainly not meant for children. Not at all meant for children. I understand that crafting can sometimes be an iffy kind of area as to whether or not whether or not it's appropriate for children. I would say some of the things that we do certainly may be appropriate for children. Other crafts that we're going to do are not going to be appropriate for children. But in general, just because of the basis of where I want to go with this, and sometimes, like I said, there will be hard topics that come up, that it's certainly not a children's type of show. Excuse me. One of the other things, and I do have to get this out of the way, and please listen, and I will bring this up probably regularly, because I don't want anybody thinking that I'm trying to be a doctor or anything like that. I am not a doctor. I am not a therapist. I am not an art therapist. I am not giving medical advice. I do not pretend to give medical advice. Everybody's recovery is different. The other thing that I need to stress is that this channel, this program, is in no way associated with any sort of recovery program, no established program. I'm not leaning towards one, or it's not sponsored by, or I'm not affiliated with any recovery program whatsoever. This is merely me putting my life story out there and hoping that it touches a few other people and helps them come along on their journey with me, and maybe we get something out of it, and maybe we start a community of people who are struggling, or either struggling or are doing amazing through their recovery, and we have a lot of fun with that and find ways to help each other and support each other, and make a community out of it. And community is really important. I spent a lot of time secluding myself, so I'm really interested in meeting other people who crafting has been a big part of their recovery program. I know that there are others out there. Like I said, I mean, I know 3 or 4 other people that this is a big part of their life. Sorry, got distracted. Happens. Another thing that I wanted to say is, while my story revolves around alcoholism, and there was some drug use in there too, while my story revolves around that, I do want to stress that this is not geared towards that. I'm not going to try to specifically gear this towards alcoholism. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my story so that you knew my background. But I do, what my goal is with this is to try to help anybody in any kind of recovery, whether it was alcohol, drugs, eating, sex, whether it's severe anxiety, bipolar, depression, whether it's a physical, whether you're in recovery for some sort of physical issue, whether you were in an accident and there's therapy involved, or rehabilitation. There's certain things that, especially if you're bedridden, or you're stuck in your house, or there are many things that can require recovery of some kind. And I think it's really important that we find a way to keep ourselves active and busy so that we don't let our minds run away on their own. Because sometimes sitting with my own thoughts is one of the worst things that I can do. And I find that a lot of the things that I do craft-wise are extremely meditative. And maybe it'll help me, not only does it help me feel better because it distracts me from what may be bothering me, but it also makes me feel really nice to be able to create something beautiful. Even if I'm not selling it, I get to look at something that's maybe around my house and say, I made that. And when other people start to see your work and they like it and they appreciate it, crocheting is huge. I do plan on doing some things about crocheting, because you can make things for yourself, make things for warm people, or to keep people warm people. Make things to donate, and help others. That's a huge part of feeling good too, is finding a way to help other people. One of my goals originally, when I first got into the whole idea of recovery crafting, one of the things that I did want to do is I actually wanted to start creating craft fairs that were focused around crafters who were in some form of recovery. Like I said, be it from drugs and alcohol, be it from a mental disorder, or a physical ailment, any of those things. People who are in, quote unquote, the term recovery. and start craft fairs where all of the vendors are in some form of recovery for something. And get you, to be able to get yourself back out into the community and show people what you can do, and then to be able to use some of those proceeds, some of those funds that we would generate from the craft fair, to then set up classes for people who are in recovery, to teach them different crafts and hobbies. I mean, I'm planning on talking about everything from adult coloring books and mandalas, or mandalas, planning on covering everything from that to possibly resin pouring and wood burning. And I myself, out of my recovery and my craftiness, I have actually started a business called Morningstar Metals, and I make colorful and unique chainmail jewelry, wire wrap jewelry. I've gotten into resin and hand painted pendants and things like that. And that's my own business that I've created. It's almost about 2 years now that I've started that business. And I created that specifically from, that is something that was born from the ashes. That is my phoenix. And that is how I like to describe it. And I am not afraid to tell people that that's where it came from, was from literally the ashes of a life that I had left behind. I was able to find this freedom in my sobriety that helped me to create this beautiful business that, whether I make $10 or $110, it's the fact that somebody is interested in my stuff and wants to buy my work and wear it. And, people give it as gifts, and then I hear from people who received it as a gift. And that is a way for me to put a little bit of light back into the world where I had put nothing but, where I feel like I had put nothing but darkness before. So that's a little bit about me and a little bit about my plan. And I thank you again so much for being here and watching. And I know that this light isn't great, and I am literally filming from a tripod on my camera. I don't have a fancy setup or a ring light. I am in my living room with pictures that have not been hung up behind me, and my leg lamp. Actually, it's my fiance's leg lamp. My Christmas tree is still set up right here, by the way. It is January 11th. Not even cool with my dates. But, life is messy, and I hope to get messy with you guys. And I hope that you'll come along on this journey. And I hope that as I flesh this channel out, that you will be here with me and we can work on it together and maybe learn some new crafts and meet some awesome people and start a community of people to help build each other up and support each other and have an awesome, fun crafting experience and extend that recovery and get better and heal and learn. And really, that's my goal. So again, thank you so much.